Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here to share a little bit of, what we do every day. And thank you really for your diligent work to improve all our children's lives. I'm very, very honored and humbled to be here, representing an amazing group of people, and especially on this platform as Elementary Teacher of the Year. So I want to begin by sharing a little story about the influence of great teachers. There was one time where there was a girl that was brought to the United States, and that child's life was turned upside down. And this new, uncertain one was set in front of her. She was the eldest of the siblings, and she came from a single-parent household. So you can bet that there were more responsibilities and worries than those of school. At home, there was a mom that had to juggle several jobs, 4 kids, and just life stressors as a single parent. So, mom had to choose between raising a family and saving a family. So each day that child went to school, carrying this baggage of the broken home, language barriers, parental responsibilities, and poverty, identity issues, and low self-esteem. But that child, with her eyes filled with fear and heavy, burdensome shoulders and little aspirations, she still mustered enough courage to go to school. And at school, on paper, she was labeled as an immigrant, a newcomer, an ELL, economically disadvantaged, minority, at risk. But God saw differently, and he placed amazing people in her path, people who overwrote those labels and gave her new ones, like loved and worthy, capable and persevering, a dreamer and an achiever. See, those people were trained to see past those labels, and they were able to see the real human being. They saw the child's potential, and they believed in her even when that child didn't believe in herself. And they dared her to dream big, and they encouraged her to pursue them. Those people taught her about the books, of course, but they also taught her beyond them. And they filled her with knowledge, but they also filled her with hope and confidence. They prepared that child for the world, you bet. But they also loved the child. They were educators. And for them, I'm incredibly grateful. I'm grateful because they noticed and they cared, and they made sure that we didn't fall through the cracks. They invested their time in us, and they treated us like family. They believed and they challenged us to do better, to try, to be courageous, and to always strive to be the best versions of ourselves. So without those wonderful educators who worked so hard in building me up and working in my character building as much as they did the academics portion, I wouldn't be here today. They inspired me to write bold and daring chapters in my life. And they instilled in me that dreams do become realities because they're just simple wishes that just need a good plan and commitment. So educators inspired me and they shaped me, and they told me that I had a voice, and they taught me how to use it. So today I'm standing here and I'm using it to share my story, to share educators' stories. As educators, we're placed in a very unique position where we can influence history. And we have the power to change the course of humanity just by simply dedicating some time to our children's lives. And that's the real influence of a teacher, one that transcends time and space. We may be only there for 9 months, but rest assured that our legacy continues with them long after. We are the real life influencers. See, teaching is not just a job, it's a lifestyle, as Dr. Joe Biden said. And anyone who's a teacher or is married to a teacher or has a teacher in their family will know that teaching or teachers don't stop being teachers just because we leave our classrooms. It's part of our DNA, it's who we are. And you know it because even your junk drawers at your homes are organized, they are color-coded, and they are labeled. And you know that if we ever go missing, you can surely find us at the dollar store or, aimlessly wandering at the Targets, because that's just what we call therapy. And we just randomly take charge and we, start directing events that we haven't even organized. So, you might be most familiar with our teacher look, the one that usually can squash a riot with that single glance. And we're full of free advice, just like our purses are full of just random things like candies and stickers and pens and the occasional dirty sock, We're real life MacGyvers. We're resourceful. We do a lot with a little. So if there's ever a disaster like a zombie outbreak, you definitely know who you want in your team. Teachers. Let's face it, we're quick to think on our feet, and that's what we do on a daily basis. We manage, we provide guidance, and we keep safety of 24 little bodies who are going in all different directions and have all different needs. So I don't think that there's anybody that is more prepared or qualified to bring a little bit of, order into the midst of chaos. So, all jokes aside, we didn't have that zombie outbreak, but we did have a COVID one. And when the world stopped and they had to regroup to think about what are we doing, teachers didn't have that grace period. We turned our classrooms into virtual ones overnight, and we continue doing what we do best, which is educating the kids. But you know what else we did? We brought back a little normalcy back into their days. We had our lessons, we had our stories, we had routines set for them. And we took their focus off of that worldly chaos. And we just reassured them that, there's a better tomorrow. There's a better one. And when time did come to come back, we did welcome them back to their second homes, despite our own fears. And educators have been bravely and tirelessly been accepting that call ever since. We do it because we love what we do, and we show up every single day, and we deliver 110%. We bring our A game every single day, and we leave everything on the court. And this year was no different. So much so that some of us were exhausted all the time, and some of us drove ourselves to teacher burnout. But we knew that our kids needed us because it would bring gaps, but we also knew that they would need way more than just a lesson. So this year, we weren't just teachers. We decided to be parents and counselors and coaches and cheerleaders, because our kids needed that, because they needed their basic needs met before they could learn. So we took on that challenge, and we worked diligently, and we showed our resiliency once again, and above all, we just loved them then. We just made things work. But upon our return, we were also met with some unrealistic, increasing expectations, especially for just coming out of a pandemic. Our standards and expectations had not changed. And you know that we run against the clock every year to close those gaps. But on top of our regular curriculum, we were met with, as expected, or at least teachers expected, wider gaps, bigger than the usual summer slides. But then we were also met with HB 4545 requirements. And then we were also met with reading academies. And then we were also met with classroom sizes that were bursting at their seams. And believe us, we tried. We tried to accommodate those kids 3 feet apart. in a sea of protective shields and masks. And we tried to make the groups small enough to be able to provide their education and the attention that they all deserve. And as the year went on, teachers had to face difficult decisions on how to prioritize their work life or their families or just their mental health. And the worst thing is that it didn't matter which way you chose. To be guilt that followed. And that's not okay because we do a lot. And we shouldn't be feeling like we're sacrificing some part of us to be able to fill our requirements. And that's not to include all the other people that were pursuing a master's course or just had babies. And, they have to continue taking care of people that are family members who have ongoing health issues. It was real struggle. And this is not a complaint. This is just a reminder that teachers wear many hats inside and outside of our schools. And despite all the efforts and extras that we do, we don't get compensated in a fair way, in a respectful way. So we're losing good teachers. Veteran teachers are ready to retire, and even if they're not, they still do. And new teachers are not sticking long enough. And substitute teachers, they're really hard to find them as well. But teachers, we are a loyal breed, and we're steadfast in our commitment to education. Although at times it seems like that loyalty is not reciprocated. But if you are, and you mean it, then please give us a fair chance to do our work. Please lower classroom sizes so all the kids can get an individualized help. And please equip us with proper equitable funding so all children can get the state-of-the-art buildings and the latest technologies. And please invest in emotional intelligence and character building and mental health so we can prevent future tragedies. And consider giving teacher a salary that is reflective of all their hard work. We know we didn't become teachers to become rich and famous. And we know that we didn't do this not knowing that it would be challenging. But you certainly cannot hold us and retain us if we continue to feel unappreciated and underpaid and have all these unrealistic expectations set for us. We're all data people. And what you're seeing nowadays is the repercussions of teachers that are unsupported and uncared for, leaving the profession in droves. So it's time to stop taking the teacher's hard work for granted and doing what's right. We do love our jobs and we do it selflessly. And two of our own gave their whole lives, their hearts and their souls until their last breath. And those were heroes in the Uvalde tragedy. And that day we all lost. We lost the students and the teachers, and we lost beyond that. We lost sons and daughters and wives and families and friends. So, of course, it shouldn't have happened. But we can continue to also hold these heated conversations that don't lead anywhere. If we really want to honor them, if we want to honor those 19 students and those teachers, we really have to do something real about it. And one thing that we can do is push that mental health. So let's invest in the whole child as much as we do the academic part. Those teachers, those heroes, Ms. Mireles, Ms. Garcia, they showed us what it truly means to have the heart of a teacher. Because in the midst of all that chaos they were still calming down the crowds and reassuring their students that everything would be okay. And even though that last part's not true, I know that they were filled with love and courage to protect the kids. And I pray that those last moments were not filled with crippling fear, but they were just held by the peace that only our Lord knows how to give. Teachers are a powerful force to reckon with. They're inspiring and encouraging, and they help students discover their true potentials, and we continue guiding them to make better choices each and every day. We teach them that there are no limits when it comes to dreaming, and more importantly, we provide those tools so their impossibles become possible. Educators change the world in ways that we can't even fathom. I don't even know what the true extent of the influence of a teacher. And we want our kids to be smart, and we want our kids to ignite their passions, and we'll be the first ones to fan those flames, so they continue to pursue them. And I know this because I was that student once. And you can bet that those amazing teachers are still doing their part in a classroom today. So please, let's work together so we can raise a more capable and resilient and responsible and empathetic and emotionally sound generation. Your work, your decisions can help us transform our lives. We're all educators, and these may be few words, but they do convey a lot. Thank you for your time.